Academy at Press 1 for Fireball. I'm Archon, and today we're going to be going over actions and what you can do with your action, both during combat, but anytime you're in initiative in Dungeons & Dragons 5e. So these are the things you can do with your action. You can attack, cast a spell, dash, disengage, dodge, help, hide, ready, search, or use an object. An action cannot be interchanged with a bonus action. I'll be going over those, the difference between those in a future video, but think of them like two separate categories. Things that fall under action specifically say that they belong in the action. Things that are a bonus action specifically belong in the bonus action category. We'll be going over bonus actions in a future video. Okay, first you can attack. This is when you can make a melee or ranged weapon attack. You can also grapple or shove with your attack. The mechanics of this are you roll your d20, add your attack bonus, and you compare it against the target's AC, their armor class. Tie goes to the attacker, so if their armor class is 16 and you roll and add your modifier and get a 16 or higher, that's called a hit. You hit that target and then you would roll for your damage. So, like I said, examples are you swinging your warhammer at a goblin, shooting your arrow at an orc or anything, a contested athletics, or to attempt a grapple or a shove. Those are all things that you can do with your attack on the action. Certain features, such as the extra attack feature of the fighter class, there are a lot of classes that at level 5 get extra attack or multi attack. Those will allow you to make more than one attack with your action. So it all counts as one action, but you get to make multiple attacks. Each one of these can also be used for a grapple or a shove if you do get multiple attacks on your action. The next thing you can do is cast a spell. This is when you use your action to cast a spell with a casting time of one action, or you can start casting a spell with a longer time. So some spells have an hour, some spells have a 10-minute cast time, some spells have a minute cast time. Each round in combat counts as 6 seconds. So if you're using your action to start casting one of these spells, it will take 6 seconds of that cast. However, a lot of spells do have a one action cast time. You would cast the entire spell during your action. The mechanics for this are kind of tough to go over because each spell is a little different, but basically you would just follow what the spell says. Like I said, if it is a longer cast time than one action, you start casting that spell. You don't get the effects until you finish casting that spell. Some examples of this are Cure Wounds to heal an ally, cast Sacred Flame to damage an enemy. Those both have a casting time of one action. Another thing you can do is dash. This is when you use your action to run on your turn. So you're giving up your action or you're using your action to run further than you normally could. The mechanics of this are you add your movement speed to your total movement for the turn. So if you have a 30-foot movement speed, which most characters do, if you dash as your action, you have 60 feet for this turn. But really, that's two sets of 30 feet. And that's relevant because any increase or decrease in your speed changes what dash gives you. So it gives you your movement speed again. If you are halted for whatever reason, someone has a spell on you, there's an effect on you that reduces or increases your movement speed, such as if your speed is reduced to 15 feet on this turn. If you dash, you'd be able to move a total of 30 feet on this turn. You don't get your original movement speed every time you dash. You get your current movement speed again on your turn. This is really useful if you need to get away from something or if you need to get into the fight. Sometimes it's useful to spend a turn dashing to make up extra movement and then be ready for your next turn in the area that you want to be in. You can disengage. This is when you use your action to parry away or dodge opportunity attacks on your turn so you can move freely. There's a lot to unpack there. An opportunity attack happens when you move out of an enemy creature's range. So most creatures have 5 feet range. If you move out of that on your turn, they get an opportunity to make an attack against you using their reaction. What that means is you are stepping away from the battle, you're engaged with them, you're stepping away, and you're not using your action to safely step away, so they get a chance to make a swing at you or make a punch at you, whatever it is. However, if you disengage, you are actively trying to parry them away while you're doing that. So for this turn, you can move freely for all of this turn. You don't provoke any opportunity attacks, even if you go into and out of range of another creature on this turn. Really good to really good to retreat from melee combat, reposition to a safer location. If you're in the middle of a scuffle and you're not really a frontlining character, or even if you are and you just think you need a turn or two away from the middle of the fight, you can disengage and you can move freely. However, this means you can't attack normally on this turn. There are some feats and some subclasses that would allow you to, but in most cases, disengaging uses your attack or your action and replaces your attack. You can dodge. And what this is you're focusing on defense to avoid attacks. This is different than disengaging. Dodging does not prevent opportunity attacks from even being able to attack you. Dodging also has you ready for an attack or dex save against you. So until the start of your next turn, attack rolls against you have disadvantage, and you make dex saving throws with advantage. So yes, you could dodge and then move away if your DM allows your action to happen after your movement, which most do. I allow movement, action, bonus action, free action, whatever it is on your turn interchangeably. There are some raw rules about that, but if you dodge, any attack against you until your next turn would have disadvantage against you. So that's also great. If you are a frontliner, you don't really want to do damage on this turn and you just want to make everything attack you with disadvantage, you can dodge. Examples of this are you brace for an incoming barrage, defend against a stronger opponent. They don't have to be stronger, but anything against you would have disadvantage for a turn. This is also useful if you don't know what's happening in the fight yet. A lot of my players do this on their first turn because they're still sizing up their enemy, whether you're not sure if the enemy's actually evil or not, and you're in initiative, because initiative doesn't mean that you have to fight. A lot of times on the first turn, they will dodge just to be ready, give enemies disadvantage against them, and sort of scope out the fight for the first round. You do lose this benefit if you become incapacitated or your speed drops to 0 on your turn. So there are certain spells, certain mechanics, certain feats that could do either of those things to you from an enemy. And if that happens, you would lose your dodge for the turn. The next thing is the help action. This is aiding an ally in their task. So the mechanics of this are you choose an ally within 5 feet of you. This ally gains advantage on their next ability check to perform the task you're helping with. So if they are looking for something, if they are about to try and grapple, this is definitely something that would be an athletics check. Um, if they're trying to lift something, anything from their skills, any ability check that they would have to make, you would give them advantage on. Or on their next attack roll against a target within 5 feet of you as well. So if you are within 5 feet of your ally, to give them advantage, and then any enemy within 5 feet of you that ally attacks on their turn, they would have advantage against it. This is done with the examples of like you're distracting that enemy, you're helping them lift, you're spotting them, whatever it is. You can flavor it, you can roleplay it however you want, but the help action gives an ally either advantage on an attack within 5 feet of you or their next ability check while you are helping. So once your turn starts again, they lose the help action. The next thing you can do is search. This is when you spend your action to look for something or someone. This is when you are in initiative. A lot of you will be able to make your perception and investigation checks out of initiative without really a time constraint on them. But if you are in initiative order, they do take your action to do that. This is by raw as well. Sometimes I will give a free perception check on a turn, especially if a fight is not going in my player's way. But by raw, it does require your action to do it. The mechanics of this are you make your wisdom perception check or your intelligence investigation check to find something, to look for something, whatever it is you are doing with that. An example of this would be if you're in a room, you're fighting a ghost, and you're also trying to find a hidden box or something that, I don't know, maybe its soul is attached to, or maybe it has the key in it and you're trying to get out. That would take your action to do that. You would roll, and then the DM would tell you what you find based on your outcome. Lastly, use an object. This is when you interact with an object beyond what your free action allows. So you perform an action with an object, such as opening a door or drawing or stowing something on top of your free action. So your free action, in most cases, is going to allow you to draw or stow one weapon. However, if you are holding a weapon and you need to draw a weapon, let's say they're both two-handed just to make this simple, and you need both hands for both weapons, you would have to either use your action to stow the weapon you're holding to pull out another one, or drop that weapon to use your free action. That might get a little confusing for people, but basically, if you're trying to do two things with your weapons, you would need to use your action to do it. Or if you are trying to interact with some of the scenery, a door, anything like that, open a locked chest, attempt to open a locked chest, interact with a drawer, anything like that, that would take your action. By raw, drinking a healing potion or any potion takes an action. I prefer, and I found it to be more useful, that if you're drinking your own potion that you have on you, I let players do that as a bonus action. However, if they are feeding it to someone else or assisting someone else with it, that does take their action. So if you're trying to use a healing potion on an ally, that uses your action. But if you're trying to drink your own, that's a bonus action. And that's it. So those are the things you can do with your action on your turn. If you have any questions, any topics you would like to see in future videos, please let me know. If you have any questions about this, or if I missed anything, please let me know as well. Like, follow, and subscribe so that you can see more. And I am now a professional DM on Fiverr, and I'm working on a couple other places. So if you are looking for private lessons to learn D&D in a crash course, or you are looking for a DM to play with, I do have a bunch of different options for that. Thank you.